Doomsday Predictions Crash Course for Ascended Masters and Dummies. Everything operates in a cyclic pattern, all things in the universe are a great circle of events. What goes around comes around. So for a few minutes, I would like to take readers into a powwow on what we as a human culture seem to currently believe, theorize, fantasize, or think might be the next coming apocalypse we most fear. Since the time of Christ, there have been over 220 dates identified with the end of the world. All predictions by influential people supposed to have been foreseen either in signs, prophecy or other ways. The Mayans themselves had almost nothing to say about what the end of the calendar held for humankind, and this suggests that they merely inherited the calendar from an earlier culture. In trying to decipher which of the possible calamities are more likely to wipe us out, the possibility of an ancient culture predicting such events must be taken into consideration. But the world did not end in 2012, that is a fact. In 2012 we hit the ending of one galactic cycle, then the Mayan calendar began the long count in reverse for the next great cycle. Either this means another cycle begins at said 0 point or the new universal changes cataclysmic, permanently into a formula where the old rules no longer apply. Still, this article is a compiled list of what some experts and prophets, or others out there feel might occur someday. Despite sincerity and long explanations, it's all just a lot of guesswork. There is no scientific evidence that anything will end the world, sooner or later for sure. These possibilities are listed in plausible order, or in order of lament guesswork as to the relative odds of such an event happening this century, and of the ancients being able to predict such a thing. When preparing to write this article, I looked around at a lot of opinions on the doomsday subject. Some I will be referencing. Like a open-minded Christian gentleman named Daniel from San Jose, who said in his online blog, "Here's the thing, the Bible, in Revelations, says no one will know when the end is coming. The exact words are, 'Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words shall not pass away. But of that day and hour no one knows, not even the angels of heaven, nor the Son, but the Father alone.'" So, if you believe the Mayan calendar thing was predicting the end of the world, then you cannot believe the Bible. The two directly contradict each other. Now, folks can believe whatever document they want. My own beliefs are based on the Bible, not the Mayans, but my opinion here isn't biased between the two. I'm just saying that I don't understand how so many people who call themselves Christians and claim the Bible as a direct transmission from God, and they also can say that the Mayans, and not the Bible, have it all figured out. If that is their belief, then they should throw out their Bibles and start practicing the Maya religion. Also, the Mayan calendar didn't say the world will end in 2012. The calendar simply stopped on that day. You have to remember, the Mayans were nearly wiped out after just a short period of Spanish colonization. Their Stone Age mathematicians began calculating their calendar at their peak, around 900 AD. By the 1500s, as their civilization was breathing its dying breath, they stopped everything they were doing, including calculating the calendar. It makes sense they had to stop somewhere, right? While I don't believe in most of these things personally, everything is on the list of doomsday events due to the billions of folk that do believe in them. These have been expressed by many others before me. In my list, I allowed even for the most unlikely, or unpopular of scenarios. This is the most wide and comprehensive list I was able to compile. So let us take a few moments talking about the dark side. Doomsday predictions in all possible forms. 1. Nothing happens. The earth and its people waste time and their lives on something that is not relevant. The odds are relative. The odds are not of such a phenomenon being real, but the odds of them happening if they are real. There is little evidence to support the world ending, but people have anticipation that is reasonably high in expectation. That is this kind of thinking, that makes the disastrous inevitability seem real to most people, but most will wake up fine and happy. 2. Asteroid, meteor, comet catastrophe. Ancient cultures have observed the skies for longer, and may on occasion have spotted an orbiting object in the cosmos that will culminate in a collision with Earth at some future date. This was the most predictable disaster for 2012, but did not occur. The possibility of our planet being struck with little or no warning still remains a possibility in later times to come. 3. Coronal mass, solar flare ejection. Giant shooting flames from our Sun. In 2009, NASA told us to be wary of solar storms, and warned of the dangers to America's ancient overloaded power grid. Being without power for a few months, in the developed world, is a lot more serious than most people realize. A large one was recorded worldwide in September of 1859. If a storm of 1859's magnitude happened today, it would cause power blackouts and wreck satellites, some say much worse. 4. Magnetic pole shift. Not only do we not know much about pole reversals, scientists are still unsure about how our magnetic field is generated. Scientists suggest a geomagnetic reversal takes thousands of years, or it could just as easily happen overnight. Our magnetic field is known to be rapidly declining, and the magnetic North Pole is moving around at an accelerating pace. So who knows, assuming the climate changes become more aggressive, or rapid. 5. Black hole explosion. An explosion at the galactic core, from the black hole at the center of our galaxy, could generate a cosmic ray superwave, and it would be signaled by a gamma ray burst, followed by the forces of a gravity wave might travel ahead of the superwave. One such wave in 2004 was the brightest ever observed. This gravity wave did not come from our galactic center, or the effects would be 100 times greater. 6. Religious apocalypse, Armageddon or rapture. Most religions predict such a day, at least among the monotheistic faiths. Conspiracy theorists suggest that many world leaders have a part in the great apocalyptic events to come. World governments may be manipulating the beliefs of faithful religious followers, and may even be attempting to cause biblical prophecy to be fulfilled via their secret actions. Possibilities could be argued about many details suggested by this in modern times. 7. Alien invasion or interplanetary war. Tied in with this are recent crop circles, UFO sightings, the space race, and ancient astronauts suggested by Mayan historical themes. If aliens are the creators of crop circles, then one would expect the circles to be a warning of sorts or a kind of communication. Abductions and other extraterrestrial phenomenon are believed in by many human beings worldwide. Plus, the Hollywood movie industry has been feeding us all with the idea of aliens for decades. 8. Gamma ray burst. This is an event that could theoretically happen on Earth, but would require cosmic or solar radiation to cause such a gamma ray burst to hit our planet. A 2004 study suggests that historical mass extinctions may have been by cause this. Such an event could deplete up to half of the ozone layer and disrupt the food chain. It is unknown if such a thing is still possible in our solar system. 9. Tectonic, crustal displacement of planet, a physical pole shift. The mechanism is not understood, and most theories are just wild guesses. However, it seems quite likely we had one 12,000 years ago, and what goes around, comes around. Charles Hapgood provided substantial evidence for a pole shift at that time. Compelling evidence of a major cosmic catastrophe in 9500 BC. D has been found. Also take into account that Albert Einstein endorsed such ideas, and we might have something to worry about. 10. Cosmic rays cause planetary problems. Scientists have yet to work out where most high-energy cosmic rays come from. Either an increase striking our atmosphere, or a weakening of our shields, will let in more cosmic rays. They are already zipping through your body every second, and they could end up being our silent killers. As one example of their danger, airlines do not let pregnant women work on their intercontinental routes, because of the increased exposure to cosmic rays at those heights. It is true. 11. Another flu pandemic outbreak. I know, COVID-19 has already happened, but it is not likely to be the last epidemic or pandemic the world will face. It might not be swine flu or the Marburg virus, but researchers say a deadly pandemic is not a case of if, but when. Our generation is generally unaware of how bad the pandemic of 1918 was. It killed 50 million people. It was the #1 cause of death amongst soldiers in World War I. Being killed by the enemy came second. We don't yet have the real data on COVID numbers to analyze, and won't for several decades. Another pandemic would have wider effects, and impact a larger scope of the population. 12. Global nuclear war. Yes, although the Cold War is over, and fewer bunkers are being built, the threat is still very real. Tensions between the Korean, and India and Pakistan are worrisome, as are the huge bunkers that the Russians have built. The single Yamantau complex is large enough to protect 60,000 people. Nuclear arms are still a huge threat to the planet, as world leaders secretly prepare and still stockpile weapons of mass destruction. No nukes. 13. Biological or chemical war. Almost all of the same issues listed in number 11 above. Exception is that the effects upon Earth species and the genetic code could be wider sweeping, and more permanent in their global effects to the planet. Not just human life, but all life. 14. Supervolcano eruption and activity. Yes, these are real, they have caused great catastrophes in the past, and we have no idea when the next eruption will be. Some believe Yellowstone could explode again soon, as it has been exhibiting signs of unrest, with earthquake swarms, ground deformation and considerable heat and gas emissions. If it did erupt, expect half of the USA could be wiped out, and major variations in climate changes for many years. 15. Artificial intelligence and robots evolve. The science fiction and science facts between Terminator and iRobot is an easy prediction. Robots one day will have the capacity to rule the world. Are we stupid enough to allow it to happen? It is very possible, but more likely is evolution of AI could lead robots to judge the human species as obsolete or dangerous to the Earth. Or maybe they will help us like little children, we can only hope. 16. Global warming or greenhouse effect. This is a most likely cause of a world catastrophe. Some say, it will only take an increase of a couple of degrees to make life very difficult for most humans. Luckily for us, it is unlikely to wipe us out in our lifetimes. But still remains a lingering issue for the Earth in the future. This also might be a side effect of other catastrophic outcomes listed in this article. 17. Time travel causes unknown catastrophic error. Perhaps someone from the future ventures into our past and causes a conflict in the time-space continuum. If it causes us harm, hopefully, maybe someone managed to zip back in time and warn the ancients of it, so they could tell us. Could it even be avoided? This is a big unknown. 18. Nanotechnology affects humanity. All the while this might have health concerns when used in everyday products like sunscreen or contact lenses, the doomsday risk is when self-replicating little things are developed. Fortunately for now, it seems too soon for some mad scientists to let the grey goo loose. Or so we must hope for all our sakes. 19. Nearby supernova apocalypse. Experts say that no supernova candidates reside close enough to harm us. But how many supernovas have they observed? None really. This is where, after the fact, scientists say we should have seen such a thing coming. 20. Genetic modification causes devolution of humanity. As we blindly take vaccinations, and we might be sheep when it comes to modern gene therapy as well, our desire to live longer might just be our undoing. Or just our desire to be better looking. The genome is a hazardous thing to play with. 21. Nuclear accident of power source, power plant. We must remember nothing is foolproof. We've had such accidents in the past, and a bigger accident is totally possible. Hard for the ancients to predict, though. But maybe not impossible. 22. Modern Ice Age. Even right now the buzz is about global warming, yet a mere 30 years ago we were worried about an impending ice age. There is evidence that parts of our climate system work more like a switch than a dial, and if a certain level of temperature is reached, it may cause what is known as abrupt climate change. Most likely, other catastrophic events will occur first, and this one is not high on the list therefore. 23. Solar system falls apart. This is known in theoretical sciences as the butterfly effect. And to the best of our knowledge, everything is fine on Earth for a long, long time. However, simulations have shown how Mercury could cause Earth and Mars to collide a few billion years from now. Yet if you throw a stray comet or planet X into the mix, and our solar system could turn into a catastrophic pinball machine any old time. 24. Large Hadron Collider. Modern scientists have been tinkering with something they think they understand the risks of, but what if their black hole calculations are wrong? Is it worth the risk? Originally we were told by CERN scientists that it was impossible for a black hole to gobble up the entire planet. This has recently been updated to the growth of black holes to catastrophic size does not seem possible. Thanks for the vote of confidence, CERN. 25. Nothing happens, but we believe it does. By mass hallucinations mankind believes one of the above events is happening and madness ensues. World calamities are caused by our own human hands inadvertently. Low on the list, but a version of this would happen in sync with any of the above catastrophic possibilities. 26. None of the above. But something does still happen causing a catastrophic event. In other words, something completely unforeseen by mankind changes the world permanently. Or a combination of events related to some listed above, on their own do not have negative effects on the planet, but in combination the effects are unstoppable by our modern sciences and technology. 27. Planetary migration for survival of humanity. Similarly, events or combinations of events cause us to have only one last resort. Utilize all remaining technology and knowledge to leave the planet and search for another home world. Unlikely, but in a list like this is a relevant and plausible outcome. Especially if Elon Musk has anything to say about it. 28. Nature fights back. Of course we can't forget that nature and her minions might try to rise up against us, killer bees, mass plagues of insects, even birds and animals that are predators. I even read of tuna actually jumping out of the water to attack fishermen a few years back. Don't fuck with Mother Nature, kids. 29. Imagine any number of other possible doomsdays. Add your own further speculations here. Use your imagination. I am sure I have forgot something worthy of note. An apocalypse can come in so many designer formulae. Why not make believe there will be no end of the world, at least not in your world or my world? Not today, not ever. 30. The impossible happens and we have peace on earth. It could happen. All you need is to love one another and love everyone back too. Well, there you have it. The odds are relative.